What's going on, guys? It's Sensei Adam. Welcome back to another Brawl Stars video. So today we just got a small update on the Reddit on all of the new features that the Brawl Stars team is working on for the next update. And I just want to discuss all of those things, my opinions on them, and also my thoughts on what the current state of the game is and what the future holds. Like, is this game going to be successful in the long term, in the short term, and what I think about all the changes, and also some suggestions that I think they can make to make the player retention rates, which is a statistic that they are working very hard on to improve. How can they improve that to make the game work in the long term, not just the short term? So if you guys do enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more daily Brawl Stars content. So the first thing I want to go over is a status report that they just posted on Reddit, because it contains a lot of interesting things that they're planning for on the next update, but also it's interesting to see how this update is doing, because they did just release some early statistics on how this update is doing. Is it doing great? Is it doing bad? Is it achieving what they're trying to do? Well, we'll see. And from the looks of it though, it's kind of having a mixed response so far. Around 68% of people upvoted it, while 32% downvoted. So it's kind of a mixed response, not extremely positive, but not negative in any way. So it's like kind of more positive than negative. But if you guys do want to check out the post for yourselves, I'll leave it down in the description below. But the main thing that we have to take away from this is, did this new update work? Did it achieve their goal of getting a higher player retention than before? And this is what they said. It's still too early to draw concrete conclusions from the data. However, it appears to be looking positive. So, in their eyes, the update was kind of a success, but it's still not concrete. And I'll get to my opinions on this later, but according to their data, it's looking positive. So yeah, basically they are looking at all the community suggestions, and you guys know that all the community is kind of negative right now. But like they said, our primary focus is making Brawl Stars into a game that people will play for years. And this was a successful step in that direction. And I don't 100% agree with this, and I'll get to that later, but yeah, that's what Supercell's data says. The data that hasn't shown any negative trends. So yeah, we kind of had to deal with this update, but we'll get into that later. And as for the next update, which will probably happen in June, since they are spacing out their updates every 3 months, so I'm guessing it's going to be in the beginning of June. So one feature that everybody's asking for is for the removal of auto aim, but since their stats are positive, they're probably not going to be doing that anytime soon. They are working on a nerf for it, but they're trying to make it a viable option while not being extremely overpowered. So yeah. And then the second thing, which I did say in my last video they needed to work on, is to make a tutorial, a better tutorial. Because currently the tutorial is like 30 seconds. It doesn't actually teach you anything. And yeah, they actually really need to work on a better tutorial, because I think that's one of their biggest downgrades on their player retention. Like, players just don't know how to play the game at the start. And we'll get to that later on a method that I think is going to really help them improve in player retention. And then the biggest feature out of all of them, which will basically change the game again, is a trophy progression system, and making it something that people are striving to get. Because the current system is kind of lackluster, and I think that's another big deterrent to player retention, because over time, the only thing that you have to do in the game is push trophies. Like, after you get 8 or 9 brawlers, you're almost never gonna get a new brawler. You're gonna get one like every month or every 2 months. Like, it's just far in between. So the only thing you actually have to look forward to is leveling up your brawlers, and you actually have to make that enjoyable in order to make the game actually fun. Like in Clash Royale, the more you level up in trophies, the more cards you're available to unlock. And I think that's an incentive that I think they need to put in the game. A way to make people want to push trophies, which currently they don't have. And secondly, at the top of the ladder, it's just extremely boring to play. If you're at 9,500 trophies, you have every brawler at 500 trophies, yeah, it's not really fun. After you play for 2 seasons or so, just losing half your trophies every time, you kind of get burned out of the game for playing like a long time. That's what I've seen the trend at higher level trophies. And then of course, the thing that kind of gets people back in the game is adding new brawlers and a new game mode, but only if time permits. So that's not 100% guaranteed. It's just something that they might work on if they have enough time until the next update. Then they're also going to work some more like social feature and game rooms to make it easier to brawl with friends. I don't know if that means like adding like a donation system like Clash Royale, like making it so bans actually have a purpose other than finding people to play with, but I have no idea. Since they didn't state that outright, I think that's more to do with like connecting with Facebook friends and stuff like that, so I don't think that's extremely important. And right now they just posted something very recent which said, again, we don't want to draw any conclusions too early, but we're seeing absolutely nothing negative in the data. All signs point to a positive change. So yeah, like in their minds, this update was a really good change. And we'll get into that, why I think it's good but also bad in the long run. So now that we've seen Supercell's stance on this, I kind of want to give my opinions and thoughts on this post, on the update in general, and some things that they can improve if they want to like improve their player retention in general, because I think these are some really simple things that they can do in order to like get their player base to be even better in the future and keep more newer players. But the first thing I want to open with, guys, is remember, we, the current beta testers, are probably only about 0.1% of the possible player base that this game has. So once the game finally does go global, there's going to be a flood of new players. So in proportion, we're going to be a very tiny portion of the existing player base. So you guys have to take that into account. And that, in my opinion, is how Supercell's kind of currently seeing the situation with Brawl Stars. Like, they see a lot of people are saying they are leaving. Probably their older player base is declining way too hard. But if you guys didn't see, with the last update, they released the game to Denmark in the iOS store. So I think they were their test subjects to see how would this game with the player retention be. Would it be better than before, or would it be worse? And I think since they said it's looking positive, probably it might have risen like between 5 and 10%, like a good number for them. And they think the update is doing a really good job and it's doing its purpose, keeping newer players. But with the current state of the game, here's the issue that I think it's going to have over the long term. And it all has to do with something called the skill gap. Basically, this is what keeps players playing over the long term, like 10 months, a year. That's what kept the current hardcore gamers actually interested in the game, because as you played it over time, you learn a lot of stuff that you never learned before, and a lot of different strategies could be built up. And that's the thing that keeps people playing over a long period of time. I feel like with the current system, yes, noobs have a very easy way to just pick up the game and play. They can just keep tapping the auto aim button, and they're going to have an easy time playing with people that have been playing for probably like a month or two, which is going to give them an empowering feeling. Like, they're going to be like, oh wow, I'm good at this game, let's keep going. But over time, like after they've been playing for a month, after 2 months, or after like 5 months, they're going to be like, wait, I've been playing for 5 months and I still have almost the same skill level as somebody that just joins the game. You just tap the button and you win. Like, that's the issue that they need to balance. They need to try and balance the long-term benefits of the game. And that's way more benefited by a skill gap, like having better players over newer players, or having the game be more noob friendly and be very successful in the short term, while in the long term it's going to struggle to keep those new players that they kept actually engaged in the game and having fun and actually trying to like develop new skills. So yeah, that's the dilemma that I believe the Brawl Stars team is kind of currently facing. Do they make the game a lot more noob friendly, but over time make it so players kind of get bored of it a lot more easy than before? Or do they focus on the long term of the game to sacrifice some short term player retention? Yeah, that's kind of their dilemma. And I do have some solutions on how can they do both. The number one thing I think they can do, and I know this has been said a lot, it's been said on a lot of other YouTubers' channels, it's been said all over the community for the past month, but I still think it still needs to be said. So, they need to remove auto aim. And I know, auto aim greatly benefits all those noobs that just joined the game for the first time. They can just tap one button and feel like they're winning for the first time. So I know it's going to have a huge impact on player retention, but here's the problem. Over time, like 2 months, 3 months, it kind of feels boring that you're just tapping one button and you don't actually have to have any skill to play the game. And that's the one problem that I think they might have with their data. It's kind of looking positive in the short term, because the new players are just going to tap the button and stay because they're going to feel empowered, like, oh yes, I'm winning the game, I'm actually really good. But in the long term, they're going to feel like, wait, I'm not actually improving, like this just feels boring, I'm just tapping a single button and I don't actually have to do anything to get better. But here's the underlying issue I see with auto aim. I know the dev team probably thought about other MOBAs and they all have auto aims, like League of Legends has an auto attack, Vainglory has also an auto aim. But here's the issue that I see comparing Brawl Stars to those other MOBAs. In those games, once you use your auto attack, like let's say you use it with your special ability, that's it. You have it, it's gone. Like you have to wait like a minute or even 2 minutes for the cooldown to go again. So you might use the auto attack, but if you miss that attack, you're going to put your team at a significant disadvantage. While in Brawl Stars, if you use your auto aim, your attack is going to be regen in like 2 seconds. Like it's no big deal if you waste it. Most of the time it doesn't matter. So yeah, I kind of don't think that auto aim is compatible with how fast paced Brawl Stars is compared to other MOBAs where you just have a cooldown. So even if you use the auto aim and you miss, then you're going to be screwed. Number 2, and yes, they are working on this, is the tutorial. But I would go even a bit further and say that the start of the game needs to be a lot better than it currently is. And what I mean by that is I've seen some Reddit posts complaining that when you start the game, you literally only have 1 brawler and you can only play 1 game mode until you have 3 brawlers. I don't know if you guys remember, like you just get Shelly and only the first slot is unlocked. And in order to unlock the second slot, you need 3 brawlers, and to get the last slot, you need 5 brawlers. And in order to unlock Robo, Rumble, and Boss Fight, you need a total of 7 brawlers. I know it might not seem like much, but early game, keeping people interested is extremely important. So what I think they need to do early game is have you start off with at least 3 brawlers or so, maybe like 1 of each type, like a medium range brawler like Shelly, a short range tank like El Primo, or maybe somebody like Dynamite or Colt as the 3rd option, just so like people know there's a lot of variability when you play the game. And also I believe all 3 slots need to be open right when you start the game. That way people don't start off going like, oh, this is so boring. Like you're literally just playing 1 brawler, Shelly, over and over again until you get enough coins to open up that box and finally unlock another brawler. Like those matches, I believe you need to get like play like I think 6 matches in a row in order to unlock that. Like the start of the game just feels a little too boring in my opinion. And I can just picture myself when I first started the game, there were so many things that I had no idea like how it worked. I think like it took me a week to figure out that if you didn't attack, then you regen your HP. Like I have no idea that if you keep attacking, you're not gonna get your health back. Like that's something that is really crucial to the game and they need to add. And then another thing, maybe like in Smash and Grab, tell people that once you have 10 gems, don't keep attacking your opponents. Go back, because I see so many newer people just going all out attack even though they have all 10 gems. Like that's something that might frustrate noobs into quitting the game because they're like, wait, what am I supposed to do? I got 10 gems and then like the game doesn't end. What am I supposed to do? And then of course the 3rd thing is pretty simple, but I don't even know if they're considering adding this back. And of course it's adding tap to move and tap to shoot back into the game. Now I know they said it's pretty uncomfortable to play in those positions, but I don't get why they actually care about that. Like if people like playing that options, why not have it be as an option in the settings? And they can just leave their new option, which they're saying is doing good, as the default option. So when you first start up the game, like you're a new player, you're just starting out, you just have to use the attack joystick. And if you want to play with the tap to shoot, you have to go in the settings and move to tap to shoot or tap to move. Like it will be pretty simple. So basically the way I see it is if you keep both systems in while having the attack joystick be the default option that noobs start out with, it's a win-win for player retention. Because the noobs are going to know how to get into the game, like they're going to be familiar with the joystick, going to be like, oh, it's just a joystick, you just tap it, push it, and it's going to be attack. But the people that have been playing for a while and want a more accurate experience, and they don't care about if it feels uncomfortable, like they're already hooked into the game and they just want to get as good as they can go in the settings and switch to the tap to shoot. Like it's a win-win. It's going to help your new players out and also going to keep your long-term players playing the game. And the last thing they need to fix in order to increase player retention is of course the trophy system, especially at higher levels, because there's kind of like no point in pushing trophies, and after a few seasons you kind of get bored of it since you've been playing for a while and you get burned out from playing the game. So I don't know how they're gonna fix that. It's kind of a challenging task, and I've made some suggestions in the past, like making it so as you push up you get like a higher percentage chance of unlocking better brawlers like Crow or Spike or something like that, giving a better incentive for pushing like into the top 10 global, like some unique skins that are only available that specific season. That would be pretty cool, but yeah, I'll digress. I'll just let them handle that. But to answer my question at the start of the video, what is the current state of Brawl Stars, and will the game die or go global, and if it will go global, when will it do that? So if you take what the Brawl Stars dev team says about player retention and that new players are staying longer and all of the data is looking positive and nothing is negative, then I would say the future of Brawl Stars is looking pretty bright. But as the current state of Brawl Stars right now, there's kind of like a lot of top players that are quitting. You're seeing a lot of people raging. You're seeing a lot of negativity. But like I said before, guys, we're only 0.1% of the future populations. Like, they're looking for the future. So if player retention on newer players is looking up, then they're happy. Another thing you guys are seeing people being negative about is because all of the top bans, all of the top players are leaving the game, and a lot of the top bans, there isn't that much activity. Like, you're seeing 5 people on, maybe like in a good day 10 people, but I have to say, in my opinion, it's kind of like their own doing. I have my own top ban. It's called Eastlake. We're current 4th in the world, and we're growing a lot. And that's because after the update, I know a lot of people would have rage quit. Like, they're gonna be like, the entire game is changing, what's the point of staying? So every time I saw somebody becoming inactive, I'd always remove them from my ban. But I've seen a lot of top bans not doing this at all. I visit them and they have a lot of people, probably like 40 people or more, that haven't played the game for like over 5 days, and a lot of them that haven't even opened it in 20+ days. Comparing that to my ban, where we always make sure to kick anybody that's always inactive for 3 or more days, and in our peak times we always reach at least like 25 people playing at once. And even in our non-peak times, when it's like throughout the day, we always have over 10 people, so you always have anybody to play with. So I really think like the inactivity in the top bans is all up to psychology. Like, you have to remove people that aren't playing in the game. And as for will the game die or will it go global, it's looking more and more like it will go global and not die after all, because since their stats, they have all their stats with them, is looking positive. I would say, yeah, it's looking more and more like it will go global. As for a timetable though, this is the most likely thing I think might happen, since they always space out their updates every 3 months, and they tend to put them at the start of each month, and our last update was in March. I would say the next update that they're working on will be released at the beginning of June. And I think that update is going to polish up a lot of things. Maybe since they didn't say it's like they're working on spectating and replays, they might add that in, but I'm not sure if they will. But a really positive sign for global will be if the next update has those features in it. And I think they're just going to try and polish the game up. Maybe after that update, we'll have like a 1 month period where they're going to try and make the game be as good as possible. Then it's going to go global at like the start of July. So yeah, guys, just a small update from the dev team on what they're working on in the future, and just them reminding that this update has been positive in their eyes. So yeah, Brawl Stars is looking more and more like it's going to go global very shortly, probably like around the beginning of July or so. So I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on this topic. Just leave it down in the comments below on what you think of all their new features that they're going to add, and like what you think of this new update. I know a lot of people don't like it, but just try and be objective. And if you do enjoy it, also make sure to subscribe for more daily Brawl Stars videos. And as always, guys, I'll see y'all next time. Peace.